Coming up, the Roosters get struck by grease lightning, Warrington get trampled by rampaging rhinos, and the Dragons caught partying like it's 2019. Yes, hello, and welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, our one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Henry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and today we bring you coverage of your NRL round 16 and 17 debrief. We've got a lot to get through, but we got to start off, as always, with our round 16 debrief, and we start from Newcastle,
where the Sydney Roosters played the Melbourne Storm, and what a blowout score it was by Melbourne. Thinking, as I attended the game as a spectator, I thought it was going to be a lot closer of a game, but no, Melbourne absolutely blitzed the Roosters in what was wet weather conditions for the majority of the second half.
Melbourne made their intentions clear. From the zero tackle, they went off on tackle one. Munster kicks downfield. Now, if you don't know how Melbourne attacked, then you probably think it's a stupid decision. But for those who do know, or just who do know but don't follow the storm, Addo-Carr was already chasing.
Yeah.
And he just steamed through within, opening 5 minutes that they bagged the opening try just like that?
Exactly 5 minutes into the match, and Addo-Carr scored that magnificent try. It was unbelievable.
That was just crazy.
I was just in awe just watching that live in front of my eyes. Literally straight across the field from where I was sitting. So, wow. Yeah, overall, the Storm were just too classy. And in the second half of the match, Josh Addo-Carr was on the side. If you don't know Newcastle Stadium, at 50% capacity, only the Western Grandstand was available, which is where all the fans were, because of the capacity levels at 50, because of some reason we shall not mention.
Lest we be cancelled.
Yes. So Addo-Carr was on close to the Western Grandstand in the second half, and the ball was on the eastern side of the field. He put his hand up to call the ball over earlier on the tackle set, and as the tackle set went through, the ball got out closer to him, and then come near the end of the set, he had the ball. That's just very, very classy. Yeah, he did the same on the eastern side when the ball was on the western side during the first half. But that's just like all-round class.
I was just blown away by how well the Melbourne Storm played. And we don't regard the Roosters as some part-time pretender. No, they are a serious contender, and they just got slaughtered.
They did. I'd say maybe... I don't know if it was a bit too much for Tedesco to back up from Sunday's origin from the week before. That could have maybe had an effect on it, but I honestly don't know. And the Roosters sort of had bad memories going back to Newcastle after what happened earlier against the Knights earlier in the season.
But completely, the middle defence just didn't stand up to task. I mean, apart from letting Addo-Carr in, I believe Dale Finucane and Tui Kamakamefa both crashed over at close range, and I think the Cheese also got over as well.
I think it was Finucane who did score over and Kenny Bromwich, because Kamakamefa didn't score. But
I was pretty certain...
The Cheese scored.
Yeah, the Cheese did score.
The Cheese scored the last try of the match. So, now, Storm just went through the middle of the Roosters. The defence wasn't there for the Roosters.
They were relentless. And then the spice came, courtesy of Daniel Saluka for Feta.
Yes. There was push and shove, the good old push and shove going on there, and the crowd went all cheering and all that. Like
the 4,300 strong crowd.
Not even that. Oh, yeah, it was. Sorry. I thought it was only 2,000.
Do not challenge me, Warthol.
Captain's challenge. Nah. I just... thought it was going to be a lot closer than what it was. But maybe the wet conditions favoured the Storm more than what it did the Roosters.
You honestly got to feel sorry, though, for Sam Walker, because that was his first game back. And you all know what pressure any good number 7's under when he's coming back into the side. And then just to have practically 8 to 9 tries put on you on your return game.
8 tries. But yeah.
That's just not good for you.
And what made things even worse, it was 30-0 at half time.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. But Munster played a brilliant game. That was the best game he had played. Outside, well, if you include the Origin on the Sunday the week before, and Origin game 1, he can come out and go to Clubland and play brilliant footy, but when it comes to Origin, he can't. I don't know what the go is there. Maybe it's a combination of him and DCE. But
It's the same story with Cherry Evans, and we'll talk Cherry Evans in a little bit, but where do the Roosters go from here?
look, I don't know. They'll still be in the top 8 come season's end, I believe, but I don't think it'll be top 4.
Yeah, you'd honestly have to think the window for the top 4 is absolutely closing for the Roosters.
Yeah, and opening for Manly because they're literally right on their tails. So
Pun intended.
no,
Hmm.
but you can make it be that anyway. But yeah, the Roosters will just finish outside the top 4. Manly will be in the top 4, but the Roosters need to hurry up and lift their game if they want to stay in touching distance, just in case.
And they're going to play the Rabbitohs and the Raiders again. The Rabbitohs could be sort of South's favour even, but Canberra could be a danger game.
It could be, because Canberra have been hot and cold this year, as we all know. But going back to the match, it was just unbelievable. Addo with a hat trick. I thought he had his hat trick in the first half, but he had double in the first half, and then the first try in the second half went to himself. So, yeah, he's just classy. In the back of Origin, he backed up really, really well.
As you'd expect.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it just...
Unlike Munster, who backed up after Origin after doing a poor performance.
Well, that just keeps the door open for the Storm to claim yet another minor premiership.
Who knows? It's so tight now. Like, you got South coming chasing down hard. Like, because they're only, I think, a win away or 2 wins away from...
It's tight, the top 4.
Yeah, and we all thought that Melbourne and Penrith were going to run away with it. Yeah, well, how have the tables turned fast?
Well, speaking of tables turning, the Dragons and coming away against the New Zealand Warriors, 19 points to 18.
In the second half
of Golden Point.
As I was watching the game live on Fox League, I was that nervous. I was literally shaking. That's how nervous I was.
Quite hard with that, because the Warriors seemed at one point they were in charge for like a big part of the second half, at close to 18-6, wasn't it?
It was 12-6 at half time. Yeah, but it got to 18-6 after Bunty Afola scored, and then from the 70th minute onwards, the Warriors weren't playing as well as they had for the majority of the game, and the Dragons went bang.
Well, you got to also admit, Chad Townsend, playing his first game for the Warriors in 6 years, had an AC joint that ruled him out for a large part of that game.
That is very true. But the Dragons came out of nowhere, scoring 3 tries in 10 minutes.
They could have easily won it.
If Corey Norman is bloody goal kicking. He got 0 from 4 conversions.
I think it was actually 1 from 5 by the end of it all.
Yes, because he got a penalty goal to open up the scoring for the whole match. But man. Jack Bird's try, he put a little goal kick through. That was unbelievable. And then right as the full-time siren went, Ramsey crossed. And Norman kicked it. It looked like he was going to get it.
It did.
No!
It did look like it.
At the last minute. Last second, it had to curve away and force in the Golden Point. But unbelievable.
Well, I think that's the definition of horror movie for you.
Yes. As well as other things.
And we'll get to that shortly.
Yes.
We're just building it up, and then I'm going to bring it all down.
And I'm not going to say a word. But the Warriors looked like they were going to be in control. When they got out to 18-6, I thought, and like with 15-ish minutes to go, I thought, that's it, Dragons are done for. They're not going to win this. But no, somehow we come back. And Corey Norman had a few chances at field goal too, and screwed it up. And I think Ben Hunt had a shot, I believe, but completely missed it. But yes.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a good, classic, gritty battle, which is what the fans like to see, compared to what it was
Paul Vaughan,
on Thursday.
This is going to be a real dick move. I think this is going to be a real dick move, because this is what I'm going to do. For me, Paul Vaughan was a standout on that game. 262 running meters. His try assist for Ben Hunt, I believe it was.
Yes.
Absolute corker. Those slick little hands. And to Stan, And with the couple of offloads he thrown, it was actually only one, but that was a solid effort for 262 running meters. Now, you see what I'm going to do next? This is where I butter him up as, like, this gun forward that he was.
Key word there, folks, was.
And now I'm going to drop a bloody anvil on him because not even 24 hours after, was it the case?
I believe so. Actually, it was around about late, around about 9:30 p.m. Saturday night time.
Well, yes, not even one day after that victory over the Warriors, probably the biggest and most deadly biosecurity threat emerges out of the St. George Illawarra camp. Now, as the leading St. George experts out of this team, would you care to explain the bloody hell were you thinking, man?
No, I really don't want to. Put it this way, Paul Vaughan had an illegal party with 12, 13 players.
It got worse as the reports get on because
Initially it was 12 players, and then a day or so later...
No, 6 players.
Six
players it started
players,
out with. Then it was bumped up
to between 10 and 15.
Yep.
And then it came out with 12, and then the next day after, it came out as 13.
So,
heavy fines.
So, all up.
Just quickly, the New South Wales Police fined each player. I'm going to go run through them now. Blake Laurie, Corey Norman, Daniel Alvaro, Jack Bird, Josh Kerr, Josh Maguire, Kate Ellis, Matt Duffy, Paul Vaughan, Teofil Mayano, Zach Lomax, Jack DeBellin, and Gerard Bell. The police all fined them $1,000 each for breaking the government rules.
And then on top of breaking the stay-at-home orders imposed by the New South Wales state government, they also broke the NRL's very, very strict biosecurity protocols, which was set at level 4.
And Paul Vaughan got one of their biggest fines of $50,000.
As well as a 2-month match ban before, just within the last 48 hours, his contract was ripped up.
So he's a free agent.
But who would want him?
Oh, I wouldn't.
Well, you sacked him. Of course you wouldn't want him.
Not being a Dragons fan, or if I was any other club, I wouldn't sign him after that. And that was his third strike too, because he breached
last year.
He breached
If
protocols last year.
Using the
and
QR
apparently
code.
a 16 scandal, which I don't remember hearing about.
So $305,000 between 13 players and all up 12 match bans that have to be spread out over the
2 to
next
4 weeks.
fortnight to a month.
Yes.
So the question is, how would you negotiate that?
With the more... I'd say how they got to do it is the games that are more like the teams above the Dragons in the top 8. I think they're going to have the best players play then, and then when it's like a lower team, we're going to have our best players serving a suspension, and have our not so best players getting serving their suspension when we're playing a top team. So you have a fair share amount. But look, I don't know. I'm still sticking loyal to him, like all supporters should do in tough times like this. But yes. But what the funny thing is, Jack DeBellin was found under a bed. Corey Norman left the house without his wallet. And anything else, I don't know.
You are just a bunch of bloody idiots. That's what you are.
Yep.
That could put the entire league at jeopardy if this thing blows out. If BBQGate goes even worse than what it already has been.
It could be burnt barbecue stuff, not,
It's just BBQGate.
Okay.
That's what this is.
But if it escalates, it could be burnt. But
The game could be burnt because of you.
Yes.
And what I mean by you, I mean by St. George Illawarra.
I'm not proud of what the club has done as a supporter, but I'm still going to stick by him no matter what. Because I'm loyal.
Now, changing gears from the biosecurity rebels over on the other side of this little microphone, The Penrith Panthers were able to escape the Parramatta Eels 13 points to 12 in a close Friday night encounter, which started 5 minutes behind time because of the Golden Point result earlier on in the night.
Yes, well, we had two absolute cracking games. One was a lot more closer throughout the whole entire match than what the other one was. But this one didn't go into Golden Point. Although it could have easily, if Mitch Moses had either kicked the 2-point field goal or got a penalty goal. But Panthers somehow won behind closed doors.
And without both Nathan Cleary
and Jerome
Luai. Jerome Luai afterwards, but
yes,
without Nathan Cleary, who of course has been quoted as having half of Penrith being the sole reason for half of Penrith's tries that were scored up to this point against an Eels side looking to match themselves up against probably the best benchmark in the Premiership after already downing the Storm back in round 2.
With a very, very similar scoreline, if I believe. I think it's only 10 points to 8 in that earlier match.
16 to 12.
16 to 12, sorry.
But
anyway.
Even so, I mean, they took advantage of the fact that the right edge would be missing Nathan Cleary's kicking game and defensive structure. So to go out to Mike Acevo early for the first try, that was smart thinking and playing ahead. You just can't stop Mike Acevo at close range, can you? No. With a guy his size, you can't stop him that close. It's very, very rare that he gets stopped close to his try line. In this case, he didn't get stopped and scored. And then for Isaiah Papali'i to bring things back close towards level in the second half with out-jumping Dylan Edwards. Yeah. You don't see that happen very, very often at all. You certainly do not. But that just proves he's got the skills to do it and he's building more as a player than what he has because of the game time he has been getting this season since joining Parramatta. He has just burst onto the scene as probably one of the game's best second rowers. Yeah. And we've previously said throughout this season, signing of the year by far. Good pickup on Parramatta. It's good that they're keeping him for a couple more years, I think. Look, you also got to give credit to Penrith for their defence that they were able to repel the Eels and just cling on. Yes, somehow they clung on without Cleary. I thought they were going to lose because I know they had the other Origin stars out when they lost to the Tigers and Sharks, but without Cleary, I thought surely it's going to be a loss for Penrith, but no, they won somehow. Only just. And they almost gave it away as well because they gave away a penalty right after the short restart from the Eels. And Mitchell Moses had the complete opportunity to say to Freddie Fittler, I am worthy of being your Blues halfback for game 3, which we'll talk on more or about later on. But he had the opportunity. And it just sailed away to the left. It wasn't by much, though. But that game could have been 14-13, Parramatta's favour. Easy. But just not meant to be, unfortunately. But it was a good... Definitely one in a battle. I definitely think... Everyone says it's a 2-horse race between the Panthers and the Storm. At this stage, I would say the Eels are a close third after measuring themselves up against these two powerhouses. Not even just Parramatta, I would say other clubs too. But I'll touch on that as we get to them. Now... The Super Saturday Slaughterhouse, if you're a fan of either one of these 3 clubs that I'm going to mention next. But we're going to start with the Manly Sea Eagles. The biggest win in the club's 75-year history. A 66-0 rort. This little prick's smirking over here. I know what's coming next. I've already accepted the fate. 0 over the Canterbury Bulldogs. Well, go on then. You're obviously wanting to take the lead on this one. Dogs are shit. End of story. Wooden spooners. No, actually, sorry, not wooden spooners. They were shit. They didn't turn up at all. Well, you got to be... In all fairness, we had 5 players stood down because of our own Is that literally the only excuse? 5 players out?
Mate, it's been...
Take the best 5 players out of St. George. Oh, wait, that's exactly what's going to be happening. So you could probably understand.
There's more than 5 coming out of
So
St.
you
George.
can probably
There's 12.
You can understand over the course of the next month what we just experienced in 18 minutes. So come back to me on that. But look, in all seriousness, though, Tom Trbojevic, this bloke...
And Ruben Garrick.
This bloke had an unbelievable performance. Once again, this guy... this is your 2021 Dally M Player of the Year right here. And this is
early call.
And these are the numbers right here. 3 tries, 1 try assist, 220 running meters, 4 tackle breaks, all in the space of 18 minutes.
Yes. And then you had Jason Saab, who got 3 tries, and Ruben Garrick, who got a double.
What pissed me off the most was
Tom Trbojevic to bench Trbojevic.
how he got denied that try. Just like... Because I was listening to this thing on the radio, and apparently there was, quote, obstruction from the kickoff. And it's like...
Yeah.
Well, how can you defend that? How can you say that's a definitive obstruction?
Yeah. Look, I thought Tom Trbojevic was going to score that try, but Ben Trbojevic was there. Tom, being not selfish, decided to pass to score.
It was like Allen to Johnston.
It was almost out of the, like, over the dead ball line. It was that close, but yeah, obstruction unfortunately killed that moment, which really, really sucked.
Yeah, it's the squares that are the NRL bunker, just the thought.
But that would have been a magnificent moment then. Ben Trbojevic scoring his first
a good
try,
little piece of family bonding right there.
except that Jake wasn't there playing, which...
And once again, they showed they could play without Jake Trbojevic, who does play that critical link role in the middle of the field.
Yeah. Once you get all 3 Trbojevics on the field, it's going to be madhouse. It's going to even be more crazier than what it already is. It was... Well, obviously a Manly fan, you know, a brilliant, brilliant game. I don't know, they scored... It felt like they scored... Well, they scored 4 tries in just under 10 minutes.
Yeah, we already knew where this was going.
Sipley scored, then Trbojevic double, and then Sipley again. What is that? There was literally only one player that did not score more than 1 try, and that was Carl Lawton. He was the only one that scored 1 try. And as we touched on, Garrick scored a double, Sipley scored a double, and Trbojevic scored a hat-trick, and Saab scored a hat-trick. And then Garrick got 11 from 11 conversions.
And considering his goal kicking's been hot and cold as of late, it's now been more hot than cold, so...
Yes.
That's just unbelievable. And
And
some of
Manly-
these tries weren't easy conversions either.
Well, no, they weren't. Some of them really close to the sideline.
He's probably thinking, Tom, why are you sending all these tries out wide? God damn it. I need to be able to kick some of these, you know?
Yeah. And what also helped Manly was when Will Hopewada got put in the bin.
For a professional foul.
Yes. That also helped Manly. But Manly pretty much almost put double the points on what they had in the first half. It was 36-0 at half-time.
Oh no! Anyway, moving on, we've got the Gold Coast Titans in probably the upset of the week. Downing the Canberra Raiders 44-6.
Well, I was expecting Canberra to win because they were back at home for the first time in I don't know how long. But no, the Titans come out of nowhere, being hot, talking about hot and cold. Not well goal kickers, but teams. Hello, the Titans, they were going well, then it went off, and they're going well again. So.
And then they come out and put basically 6 tries to 1 against the Green Machine that is just...
8 tries to 1.
Just keeled over and died.
What happened to the Raiders?
A lot of things have happened to the Raiders.
But then look at the Titans.
And David Fafita was sin-binned as well. The fact that they were able to maintain that bloody momentum and all those tries with down to 12, that was just unbelievable.
It was. Literally, it was. Like, Fafita got put in the bin on 29th minute. And they scored on the 31st, 35th, and 38th minute. So 3 tries the Titans have scored when Fafita in the bin.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable is an understatement.
Jamal Fogarty was a big player in all of that.
He's having a really good season.
Not only did he back the captain bag a try himself, he set up another 2, 121 running meters, 3 tackle breaks, as well as 6 from 8 goals converted.
Yeah. He's having a stellar season, Jamal Fogarty. And it's good to see that. And he's only, just recently got
The captaincy after signing an extension.
Yeah. No, it's really
It's a
good
rapid rise, and I think this was a win the Titans definitely needed to have. Because I think at this stage, you couldn't definitively say the Canberra Raiders could make the 8. The Titans you'd have to be more confident about after a performance like that.
Oh, yeah. Since the Raiders started slowly slipping out of top, well, not slowly, they're quickly falling out of top 8. You thought, yeah, that's it for the Raiders. And the Titans have been still lingering there or thereabouts, but this one really helped them boost up the ladder, if they moved up at all, to have a crack at the top 8.
Yeah. And speaking of cracks at the top 8, the next one, the Newcastle Knights downing the North Queensland Cowboys 38 points to 0.
Yeah, what is it? It was a blowout Saturday. That's what it was.
Yeah, I definitely summed it up when I said Super
Yes.
Saturday Slaughterhouse.
Yes, I know. But the Knights, with the trend of Kalen Ponga, look like a completely different team.
They certainly did. 2 tries, 2 try assists, 212 running meters, and 4 tackle breaks in a performance that says, I am the fullback for Queensland.
Yeah. And I thought the Cowboys were going to... well, I did tip the Cowboys to win. Yeah, well, how silly was I?
It does look pretty stupid when you're sitting there tipping the side and it's 38-0.
Yeah. But I thought Ponga being back, he'll make an impact, but not that much of an impact. Like, they have missed him. I'm not saying he's a bad player, he's a superstar of the future, but I knew he was going to have a massive impact, but not that big. Because he hasn't played for, a month and a half? He's been out for a while, so I thought, oh, yeah, that was easy backing. Nope, bang, try. And then, like you said, set up.
Dominic, that crossfield
tries.
kick for Dominic Young. I think this is his second try he scored. How unbelievable was that?
Unbelievable. That's just class and shows that the Cowboys were completely off. Like, they weren't playing their best. If not, like with the Dogs, not show up at all. But it was actually unbelievable.
I mean, they weren't helped by the fact that their coach was in isolation back in Townsville, to which he's now been released from, but
yeah,
you can't do that when you're in touch for the top 8. Just get absolutely shut out defensively and not being able to put anything on an attack. You just can't.
No, you can't do that. Maybe without having Todd Payton there might have been the difference, if it was or not. Connor Watson got a double. He had a brilliant game as well. Same did Dominic Young. He had a double as well. So, and Jacob Safidi, he had another blinder of a game.
How close do you think he would be from New South Wales selection, given that basically every single Aussie wants to see an Islander in an Aussie shirt?
Well, we've already seen Daniel Safidi play Origin. So why not play his brother?
I think it'll be...
Twin brother, I should say.
It'll ultimately be more likely that he will definitely see rep honours for Fiji Bate at the World Cup if it still goes ahead.
If. That's a big if, but yes.
And it's the same story with Young. And it's also the case, he is named in the side for Jamaica, and the way he's playing at the moment, he will definitely start in the 17 for Jamaica.
With the limited game time that Dominic Young has had this year, he's been playing really good footy.
I think ever since his second game, actually, when he came back after his initial debut in round 3, he's just been unstoppable since.
He has been. He'll be trying to force his way into the starting 17 consistently now. But,
I don't think you could leave him out now.
But then who else do you get rid of?
Edric Lee.
But he's a good force too. On his day. But Edric Lee does have a lot more errors in him than what Dominic Young does.
Yeah, I
both got the height.
I think Best and Young will form the Knights' left edge attack for probably several years to come, I think.
Yeah. They've both got the height under the high ball. They know how to score. They've got the length in their arms to try and reel in intercept. So
that will be the Knights' danger edge going forward. That's what I'm calling it.
Best and Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Now, on to the Sunday games, and well, look at what we have here. The Broncos. Usually we bag the crap out of the Broncos, and we're still going to do that here. But we first got to address 28-16 victors over the Cronulla Sharks. Did we see this one coming at all?
It was actually 26-18.
26-18, my bad.
Get your facts right. But yeah, no, I did not see this coming at all. I thought, oh, the Sharks are going to put the hammer down and go for it. But no. The game was very, very even. 12 apiece at halftime. That's when you knew that the second half was going to be an absolute cracker. And it was to an extent, but the Broncos just had an extra try in the second half.
Tony Staggs would have played a major role in that.
His first touch of the ball, and he nearly scored a try or nearly went length of the field.
And he set up Tessie New for the first try.
Yeah, he had a blinder of a game on his first game back.
And then Payne Haas, just this absolute workhorse of a man. 210 running meters. 1 try assist to, I believe it was TC Rabate or Kobe Heverington.
Neither of them scored.
Ethan Bollenball, that
did.
was the one I was thinking about.
Yeah.
2 tackle breaks and 2 offloads. And this bloke was everywhere. I think the commentary was, is this the next Broncos halfback right here?
I mean, it could help their halves combination drama.
But I don't know where the Sharks were, just when the Broncos were able to pounce over the top at the very end.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know where they were. Like, Sean Johnson had a perfect night off the boot with 3 from 3. Connor Tracy, the ever reliable Connor Tracy, scored a double with Aiden Thomas scoring the first try. But I heard the commentators saying that so much about Connor Tracy coming in off the bench as utility, you can't keep him out the starting side. He has to be the starting side now. He's been playing way too good.
Well, we'll touch on more on that later, but there's still a couple more things to get through before we move on to the Broncos. Last week, I said I would go away and I would tabulate every single Broncos halves combination in use. I might have forgotten how long I said, but this is all the Broncos halves combinations from 2018 to 2021. So from in the space of 3 years, the Broncos have gone through a grand total of
16 halves combinations.
Wait, it's still the moment. I was building
Sorry.
the suspense, but yes, 16 halves combinations and 5 brand new halves combinations this year alone outside the establishment. And the 8th and the I'm just trying to see. Yes, the 3rd and the 8th halves combinations being in chronological order: Anthony Milford and Tom Dearden, and then Anthony Milford and Brodie Croft. We talk about the Broncos revolving doors around the halves. Well, there you go. Just the combination from the first game they ever played and then the number of games they played after that. None of them, and I mean absolutely none, of the 15 next combinations after the successful one of Anthony Milford and Cody Nikorima
have gone close.
have gone past 20 games. The best Milford and Nikorima did, they played 30 games together.
Between 2018 and 2019.
Because Nikorima, of course, left halfway through 2019.
To go to the Warriors.
And then you got Milford and Dearden, and then you got Milford and Croft. They both lasted for 13 games, so before Dearden left for the Cowboys, and then both Milford and Croft have been in and out of the side for the last few years.
Yes. And then the least amount of games for the combination was Anthony Milford and Sean O'Sullivan, Jake Turpin and Sean O'Sullivan, Tyson Gamble and Tom Dearden, and Anthony Milford and Albert Kelly, and currently, as it stands, Tyson Gamble and Brodie Croft. They've only had 1 game experience each as a halves combination.
And they've thrown Jake Turpin into the halves. They've thrown Darius Boyd into the halves. They've shifted Milford, Croft, Dearden, Gamble, Jack Bird, Carmichael Hunt, Albert Kelly. They've all shifted them left, right, and centre for Anthony Seibold, then Peter Gentle, and then Kevin Walters. The chop and change the halves. That is just ludicrous.
I'm going to say this right now. There's going to be at least another 2 halves combinations for the Broncos this year.
And then there'll be a fresh halves combination to start out 2022.
Yes, and at least, hopefully, this one's consistent with Adam Reynolds being there.
And Katoni Staggs shifting to 5-8.
So, boom, there you go. But yeah,
Well, that's that. Oh, that is the case.
I'd say the next halves combination will involve Carmichael Hunt and Brody Croft. Will be another halves combination throughout the year, or Tyson Gamble and Croft haven't partnered up. I know they are.
Well, besides the point.
Anyway, I reckon the next one will be Carmichael Hunt and Brody Croft.
If he can make it back into the Broncos side at this rate.
And then the other one might be Albert Kelly and Brody Croft.
Again, it's a big wait and see. Now, West Tigers went down to the Rabbitohs 38-22, but that did not reflect the Rabbitohs' dominance early on.
Literally early on. Tane Milne in the first minute of the match.
That's when you know when you're a bad side, when you're conceding tries within 1 minute of kickoff.
And it's 26-0 at half time. I thought,
and it could have been a lot higher because, as I understand it, Adam Reynolds had an off day with the boot. 5 from 7.
Sorry, 5 from 8 because he missed a penalty goal.
But the first half, it didn't treat him too kindly.
No, he only got 3 in the first half.
But that was just...
The Tigers came back. They nearly won the game.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Like,
the Tigers' second half performance. That is what surprised me the most.
Yeah, they were off in the first half.
They were gone.
They been pretty much what they were playing like all year.
They were gone. It was just like when they had 40-0 put on by the Storm a couple of weeks back, and then...
They never recovered.
But this time, there was actually fight in them. There was actually tooth in this Tiger.
Maybe the Tigers need to play behind closed doors more constantly to help them. I mean, it was behind closed doors, and they managed to put out a near comeback victory. But yeah.
But still not enough.
No. Alex Johnston with a...
Of course, the ever-reliable Alex Johnston.
He nearly had a hat-trick.
And Adam Reynolds bombed a try.
Yes.
In the first half. I mean, you don't start celebrating before you put the ball down, Adam. Come on, man.
And maybe you may not be guilty of that in Rugby League Live 4, the game. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a story for another day.
Yeah. But Campbell Graham with a double.
Yeah, I think he's starting to settle a bit more in the centre now because I think you move into the centre, you have less opportunities to be a try-scoring weapon. I mean, you look at Josh Adokar, Alex Johnston, I wouldn't say Josh Mansour, he hasn't really been there, but Micah Sevo, Jason Saab, all of those guys get the most... Ruben Garrick, they all get the opportunities because they're all wingers. Campbell Graham, maybe 2 years ago, would have been definitely up there with them, but since this transition into the centres, he's... I suppose, like Josh Morris, he's had to find his opportunities a bit more.
And he has.
But I think he's starting to settle a little bit more into it.
A little bit more,
I mean, I do prefer him as a winger, but if Wayne chooses him as a centre for the moment, then he's the centre.
Who says Jason Demetriou ain't going to change it back to the winner next year?
Who knows?
We have to wait and see.
Yeah. But Tom Burgess, I mean, this is sort of where I saw Tom Burgess at. This impact role off the bench, just this hard running forward, coming off and just... is providing a little bit of leadership to this South Sydney pack. And he did it again. 160 running metres, 5 tackle breaks, and of those running metres, he performed 12 hit-ups amongst it all.
He didn't get mentioned much in the game's commentary, but he is working like he always does.
Yeah, and that's what you want from your front rowers. Just get in there and just run hard as you can.
Yeah. Also... Latrell Mitchell went to go for a 2-point field goal near the end of the match, but ultimately missed.
Yeah, that seems to be the way of it.
But the Tigers could have easily won that from nowhere.
Yeah.
It would have been a miracle of a comeback.
It definitely would have been.
Obviously, it wasn't to be the case.
Now, let's shift gear here a little bit. We've got the round 17 of the Telstra Premiership, the shortened round 17 for the second round of buys, but we do start off Thursday night with the Manly Sea Eagles hosting the Canberra Raiders. A couple more changes that Ricky Stewart has been forced into, with Bailey Simonson ruled out with injury. Xavier Savage comes on starts at fullback for his first proper game that is not totally cheating the NRL's 18th man protocols. Emre Gula starts for Josh Papali'i, and Matt Frawley comes in to replace Jack Whiten at 5'8". I believe Ryan Sutton. I know he might have started a lock forward actually. So apart from that, at Ryan James is on the interchange as well, alongside Soliola and Joe Tarpany. And Matt Tomoko still listed on the reserves, alongside Brad Schneider and Harry Rushton.
Now, for Manly, obviously with State of Origin Game 3 is coming up, so they're going to be without the Origin stars. So Garrick will fill in at fullback for Tom Tavorovic, and Moses Sully comes in for the win to replace Garrick. Walker's been promoted to the starting side at halfback alongside
Kieran Foran,
as Cherry Evans is on Origin duty, with Cade Custany, man on the bench. Jack Kojeski has been named amongst the reserves as he's nearing a return from an injury, and that's pretty much it.
Well, this is really a tale of two sides here. On one side of it, you got the Canberra Raiders that have been struggling since round 5 to try and find something, which they haven't.
You want to know something else? The Raiders have not won at 4 Pines Park since 2016. They'll be hoping to break that hoodoo.
And while they still are going up against a weekend Manly side, it's still a strong Manly side.
There's still Garrick and there's still Saab in there. Come on.
And I mean, Hamule Olakoatu, one of the underrated second rowers.
He's been having a blinder of his... Well, last few games he's been having a blinder.
He has definitely taken opportunities of injuries in the second row stocks to really cement his place.
And I'd say he'll be...
And even if Curtis Sirinen does come back this year, Olakoatu's not going anywhere.
No, he'll either be starting or on the bench.
It's the same story with George Tafua, because Tafua's been fit since about April. But since Jason Saab's kicked in the top gear, to even the jukebox that is responsible for some of the best hits, he just hasn't got a run in.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable, but it's probably a nice headache to have. I mean, you could have a headache with, a worse sort of a headache, but that's a good headache to have. And George Tafua will be absolutely trying his guts out to try and get back into that 17.
He definitely would. I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, all right, there's no Cherry Evans, there's no Tom Trbojevic. That's 2 pluses for the Canberra Raiders. But the defence got really exposed in the last game against the Titans, and even in the games where they have been competitive, they faded out in the last 20 minutes, or even as the second half starts.
Yeah. It's true, though. But,
Ricky, I don't know what Ricky can do at the moment. I mean, he's clearly got to go in for a rebuild.
Yeah, easy.
And Hudson Young, that was the other one. Hudson Young actually comes into the second row with no Elliot Whitehead either. Things I keep missing out on, but there's just too many outs for the Raiders. There's too much inconsistency, and
the Raiders see what's been going this season, like as of late.
I'm not gonna call it. It's a Manly 13+ victory. I can't really look at the Canberra Raiders the same way you would have looked at the Raiders 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, the Raiders...
You're looking at a different side right there.
Yeah. I completely agree. The Raiders have just been... They started off well, then have gone downhill since. And without Tommy Turbo and Cherry Evans, Manly still put on a massive performance. With the rate that Garrick and Saab have been playing this season, and like I said, Olakoatu. Even without, like I said, Tavorovic and Cherry Evans, Manly are still going to put on absolute flogging. Manly to win by 46 without Cherry Evans and
Tommy Turbo.
All
right, big call right there. Now, Friday night's game. Relocated from Stadium Australia to the more picturesque McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle, we have the South Sydney Rabbitohs up against the North Queensland Cowboys.
How ironic is that the Cowboys are playing at the same ground 2 weeks in a row?
There is a little bit of irony in that. Dejan Arce comes into the side. It seems like a while since he last appeared for North Queensland to replace Valentine Holmes at fullback as he is away on Origin Uti. Corneli Lumelu is in the centres with no Hamiso Tabuai Ifado and without Francis Small. Although Tom Gilbert joins the bench alongside Lachlan Burr, and Helam Lukey gets another run for Todd Payton, who will be available this time around.
As for the Bunnies, obviously there's going to be changes because of origin duties. So we've got Blake Taff coming in at fullback in place of Latrell Mitchell, with Braden Burns comes in at centre for Dan Gagai. Hame Sally moves to the lock to cover for Cameron Murray, who's also on origin duty, and Tom Burgess to start up prop. Sewer is back in the side to fill in for Jai Arrow, and Benjamin Marshall starts a hooker as a replacement for Damien Cook. Patrick Margot and Peter
Mamazelis
are the new men on the bench, and Jackson Paulo has been named amongst the reserves list. I am attending this match. I said that last week with the Rooster Storm game, so I'm going to attend this one as well. You might as well make the most of it. Have Sydney teams.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah, you might as well.
You're just taking the opportunity. No one can blame you for taking the opportunity when you see it.
I mean, yeah, you don't see many, other than when they come out to play tonight, you don't see many Sydney teams come up as home games playing against another Sydney club or Queensland club. So,
well, it's definitely emphasising the Roads to Regents series.
Definitely.
A little bit enforced, but still Roads to Regents.
Yeah. Brings more money into the local economy.
Now, this will be interesting to see how Blake Taff and Peter Mamazelis go, because Taff's now starting this game proper at fullback without Latrell Mitchell.
But we saw what Blake Taff can do when they're in a charity shield at Mudgee earlier this year.
Oh, of course. As for Mamazelis, he could easily swap with Benji out early, and Marshall could float around the field as a lock forward if Sele goes off.
Yeah. They've got the options there. Like, they've got a heap of flexibility in that squad. Especially Marshall coming in with it. Oh, he's not going to get much game time because he's a half, and they've got Walker and Reynolds there.
Yeah, try telling that to Wayne Bennett.
But then Wayne Bennett's used him as a hooker, a lock forward. He's used him anywhere, pretty much.
A second rower in his first game.
Yeah. So he's basically a third half on the field. But
he's a jack of all
halves.
trades.
Yeah.
It is Benji, and he is loving life in the red and green.
I'd say he'll go for another year. I'm calling it now. Benji to sign off for another year with South Sydney.
He's definitely playing good at the moment, and this will be a very interesting game because you're thinking most of the Bunnies' strike weapons are out of this, but at the same time, Adam Reynolds is still there, as well as gun forwards like Tom Burgess and Kian Kuala Matangi.
Yeah.
There is still some damage to be done here, especially with Alex Johnston still coming hard off out in the backfield.
Yeah. So it's good. Without the Origin stars, they're full strength.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that, like, their squad's got a heap of flexibility too. Like, they've got enough people to cover positions. Obviously, when not only just injuries but Origin and the like. So no, it's good to see. As for the Cowboys, they'll be hoping to
bounce back
at the ground that they got a heavy defeat at. But coming up against the South Sydney side, I don't think they have a chance. Scott Drinkwater, he had been playing pretty good up until last week. He had a really off night last week, and I'd say that had a massive influence on the Cowboys' loss.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm looking at the Cowboys' right edge, and I think they can't contain. Even though the Rabbitohs are missing one of their regular strike weapons down that left-hand side, they're still pretty much intact on that edge. So
yeah,
I'm going to have to... I think the Cowboys will try and keep the Rabbitohs a bit more honest without the Origin stars, but I can't see them putting on like a massive blowout scoreline, even with the roster management of the Cowboys, and I mean, all the debate around the rules which do not contribute to the blowout scorelines, because as Wayne Bennett basically said, point blank, it's clubs and how they manage their roster and their structures overall that contribute to the blowout scorelines. So,
and as normal, Wayne Bennett's right.
He's got a fair point. I think the Rabbitohs will come away victors, but I think this will be on a 1-12 scoreline. I think the Cowboys can really smell blood here, but I don't think they can overcome the South Sydney side.
No, I'm going the complete opposite. Cowboys will put up a small fight, but not a massive fight. And with the rate that and without like origin stars for South, they'll still put on a big scoreline. I don't like seeing big blowout scores, but this one's gonna be another one. How many points do the Cowboys get? We don't know. But I was saying Rabbitohs will win by 28 points. I know it's another big blowout score, but that's how I see it.
So what would the Cowboys need to do to get over the top of South Sydney?
Try and shut down Johnston, Walker, and Reynolds.
All right.
As well as Marshall. That's what the Cowboys have to try and do.
So control the ruck and limit the back three's impact on this.
Yeah.
Now, Saturday night, we've got the Canterbury Bulldogs and the Sydney Roosters. Two sides that both got nilled over the last weekend.
One more than the others.
A couple of changes for the Roosters to accommodate for Angus Crichton and James Tedesco. Joseph Manu starts at fullback once more for the Roosters, with Billy Smith brought into the centres.
To make his debut, I believe?
No, in his first game back in a while.
Okay.
Not since 2019 has Billy Smith played a game, so first time he's back in the side. Drew Hutchinson is named in the halves alongside Sam Walker as Lachlan Lamb drops back to the bench. Daniel Saluka Fafita is suspended, so Egan Butcher and Ben Thomas make up the bench. Alongside Nat Butcher, Adam Kieran drops back to the reserves, and Joseph Suwali once again named as a reserve in jumper 21.
Yeah, but I think Suwali will be coming into game day 17 like he did against the Storm. He came in for Matt Ikavalu, who went as 18th man. For the Dogs, Brandon Wakeham is out, so the halves still stay the same. Corey Waddell comes into the second row. Sione Katoa replaces Jeremy Marshkin, who is out suspended and also re-signed with the club just recently. Aaron Shorp is back, and Manu is
back on the reserves.
And Dylan Napa is in for Simon Manafangai, who's out suspended. Joe Stimson is promoted to the interchange to be alongside...
Really promoted to the second row.
Second row alongside Corey Riddell, with Jackson Tolpany downgraded to the reserves and Matt Dorey missing this week after getting a head knock.
As well as Offie Ogden and Renofa Tony both coming back into this.
And Bernardi Odo retains the number 14 jersey.
He's the only debutant to
keep his spot
maintain
from
his
last week.
Considering Chris Patolo and Falakiko Manu have now dropped out of the 17.
Yeah. That just shows... I believe that just shows who had a better debut than the other two. But that the Dogs are getting their trips back, like from the, what they kind of got into trouble for. So, I mean, it might hopefully will help.
Well, unfortunately, squad. I got two words: Victor Radley, back at lock forward, or as Isaac Liu is pushed out to the second row.
Who's also just re-signed with the
No. Liu's left for the Gold Coast Titans on a 3-year deal.
What I meant. Yes. Sorry.
Look, the Roosters have now gained a massive player back into the attacking shape. The link man for Hutchinson and Walker to work with. And even without Tedesco and Angus Crichton, what else can I say? This is a Roosters practically full strength out for revenge, because they can't face Melbourne again unless they meet in the finals. But they'll be out to settle the score to the entire league. And unfortunately, we're going to feel the full force of that. This is a Roosters 13-plus victory.
Well, put it this way. The Roosters have won the past 7 games against the Dogs. And the Dogs have lost the last 7 consecutive games at Bank West. So you can tell where this is going.
Big league.
Roosters to win by 44.
Yeah. And finally, of the shortened round 17, we've got the Cronulla Sharks playing host to the New Zealand Warriors, and there have been more changes for Nathan Brown's side. Reece Walsh is back in at fullback, which pushes Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to the wing. Shaun O'Sullivan comes in for the injured Chad Townsend. Matt Lodge included in the front row on his first game for the club. With no Tohu Harris, Jazz Tavanga is lifted to lock forward, and Ben Murdoch-Masila drops back to the interchange.
So, with the Sharks team news, Matt Moylan is still out. So, Connor Tracy moves to the 5'8" role with Will Chambers coming back into the centres. Braden Tyndall reverts to the bench after being in 5'8" last week against Brisbane, and Moane Hirote drops to the reserves, and that's all the changes made.
This could actually be the closest game of the weekend, if I'm being honest.
I totally agree with you.
Because I've been debating this in my head, because I think the Sharks should be able to bounce back from this, but at the same time, they've also lost to the Broncos and the Bulldogs from round 7 up to this point. So I'm thinking, if you lost the sides that you should be beating and are beneath you on the table, how confident are you that you can beat a side that is near equal with you or wanting to push into the top 8? This is my thinking. I'm just trying to get from my head right now.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and I agreed with you. But then with the Warriors, they've got like pretty much full strength besides
Chad Townsend, who will be leaving anyway at the end of the year to join the Cowboys. Yeah, and Sean Johnson, their magic man, will be coming back to them in the space of a few months.
And with Reece Walsh back, he'll be a big key factor.
Oh, Reece Walsh will be a big factor.
I'd say if Walsh played last week against the Dragons, Warriors would have won by more. But
I could probably see that.
But I'd say he's going to be a big factor, and the Warriors will win, I reckon. But in all honesty, the Sharks have been playing good too, and like Connor Tracy is...
Josh Hannay really dug him out of a hole within the last 2 months.
Yeah, because as we all know, John Morris got sacked.
Round 5. After round 5, he got sacked.
He left on his own term. No, he got sacked. Or did he leave on his own term?
He got sacked.
He got sacked. And the Sharks were absolutely nowhere.
And then they've just rallied.
They started off slow under Josh Hannay. Don't get me wrong. But they are getting up there as the season has gone on. I reckon this is the match of the round.
Oh,
Believe it or not.
I am just thinking which way to go with this, but I think the Sharks should be able to beat them, but at the same time, they also lost to other sides that were less than them. So if they contain the Warriors forward pack, because that'll be the big thing. It's a big pack they got to deal with. I mean, Fanua Blake, Lodge, then you got Murdoch-Masila and Bunty Afoa coming off the bench. So if the Sharks can match it in the forwards, I think Sean Johnson can single-handedly prove that he is worth every single penny he's signed for with the Warriors. But I think I've got to go with the Warriors 1-12 here.
It's really a flip of the coin, I believe. I agree. Warriors 1-12 and by 8. It'll be the closest match of the weekend.
Oh, it definitely will be.
In my view.
Sort of a refresher after the slaughterhouse on Super Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the action for... Oh, well, one more thing before we go. We finally know where State of Origin Game 3 will be played. There's been much speculation. Is it going to Queensland? Is the Victorian government going to get $8.5 million back for the MCG or Amy Park? But as of this afternoon, we have finally learnt, and some of us have even known days in advance, that State of Origin Game 3 will be hosted at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle.
And you're one very happy camper, but I am super, super pumped for it to be coming to Game 3. Coming to Newcastle. The Blues have won this series. It's coming to Rugby League Heartland. What else could you want? A whitewash, which hopefully happens, but I'm not going to jinx it. But I have been super pumped all afternoon.
And on that note, that's your NRL round 16 and 17 debrief. If this is halftime right here, so stay tuned for your Betfred Super League round 12, 13 and 14 debrief. This is probably going to be the biggest debrief we have done on the Betfred Super League, so stay tuned for that after this short break.